Lily's dishes are delicious. Look at this sweet bouquet of flowers. Oh, how beautiful they are. They are made with Russian piping. I discovered this technique a few years ago. In the beginning it looked intimidating, but after a couple of tries it became easy. And trust me, if I can do it, you can do it too. I don't have any professional training in baking. I do it because I like it on the weekends, and you can do it just as well. The results are amazing. It will make you look like a pro. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get baking. How to make the perfect frosting. I'm going to make enough frosting for 72 mini cupcakes. So I'm starting by putting here 4 pounds of powdered sugar. And I'm using this paddle attachment. This paddle attachment has rubber around it, which will act as a spatula. And I'm always using this whenever I make frosting because I don't have to stop and scrape so many times. It makes life so much easier. I'm adding 1 cup of warm milk, 4 tablespoons clear vanilla, popcorn salt, 1 teaspoon, and then place the shield, and don't forget to use a cloth, otherwise that powdered sugar will just burst into the room, and then beat it for about a minute. I will need a total of 2 pounds high ratio shortening for the frosting, but at this stage I'm only going to put about half a pound inside and mix it for about good 2 minutes. After that, I'm going to introduce the rest of the shortening and continue mixing it until everything is incorporated. If I put the entire shortening at this stage and I mix it for a few minutes, my frosting will become very grainy. But if I divide it in this way, I will end up with a very nice, smooth, firm frosting. And yes, in the beginning for these 2 minutes, my frosting is a little bit thick, but after those 2 minutes, when I add the rest of it, it will become nice and smooth, just the way it's supposed to be. Take a look. It's nice, it's firm, it's not grainy, it's a beautiful white color, and now I'm ready for the next step. Using food coloring, I'm going to color the frosting. The question is, why am I using high ratio shortening instead of butter? Because butter is yellow in color and will interfere with the coloring. So I'm using high ratio shortening, and the second reason for that is high ratio shortening tolerates heat better, and if I make a texture design like the flowers in this case, it's important for them to hold their shape. And if I use butter, they will melt a little bit faster, so it's important to use high ratio shortening to hold up the design nice and firm. Go easy on the food coloring because 1 drop will take you a long way. Some of the colors are very intense, and in some instances I just dip a toothpick into the color and that is sufficient. Also, don't overmix the color. It's nice to have a little bit of the white inside to have a different gradient into the color. Next thing I'm doing, I'm taking some saran wrap and place the frosting on it. Spread it with a spatula and then add some white color in the center of that frosting here. And again, does not have to be perfect. It's nice to be imperfect actually. On some of the flowers, I'm going to use 2 colors, and on other flowers, I'm going to make them out of 1 color. Be creative, have fun experimenting. And here are my Russian piping tips, and also I'm using a Wilton tip as well. So whenever you use Russian piping tips, you have to have a piping bag. Take one of the nozzle, insert it into the bag, and then you have to cut the end of the bag and push the nozzle through, but not all the way, just a little bit. Then take one of those frosting packages, cut the end of it, and insert it into that piping bag. Then twist the bag, make it tight, and then set it aside. And then continue with the rest of them. What those Russian piping tips are, they're this nozzle made out of stainless steel, and the flat end of it has a design. Every tip has a different design, and that little design gives you a beautiful flower. It's incredible how simple this is. One squeeze will give you a beautiful flower, and it's so easy, and then the results are spectacular. And the fun begins. So I'm taking one of those bags, twist it a little bit to make it tight, and then I'm ready to pipe the flower. So this is the nozzle. Every pattern creates a different flower. And this is how I'm holding the bag. thumb on top and fingers to the side. So as I'm touching the cupcake with a nozzle, I'm pushing down and then squeeze and lift up. And that one squeeze gives you a beautiful flower. And on this particular flower, I've used the two colors. So see how beautiful it came? The interior is white and the exterior is blue. This tip is just a red flower, but it's my favorite tip. And you have to have perfect icing for these flowers. If your icing is soft, the design will collapse. You will not have a design. And it just has to be right. And look at it. It's nice, it's firm, and those petals are nice and crisp. Then take the leaf tip and create those leaves. You can put one leaf, two, as many as you want, and you can make different combination. On some of the cupcakes, I'm going to put just one flower. On other cupcakes, I'm going to combine three different colors of flowers. So have fun with it. Be creative. Whatever looks prettier to your eye. Some of the nozzles will create a tulip, some of the nozzles will create a rose. Also, you can create taller flowers or shorter flowers. So if you pull the tip higher, you'll get a taller flower, and if you stop it sooner, you get a shorter flower. You can use those tips for cupcakes, you can use them for regular cakes. When I started to use the Russian piping, my biggest challenge was the icing, to get it the right consistency. Either I made it too thin or too thick, but now that I got it right, I'm sticking to this recipe. Just look how beautiful that icing is. It's so smooth. I mean, look at the petals. They're nice and crisp. You can see the detail of the flower. If your icing is too thin, you will never get this crispness, this nice petals. There's so much detail on it. And this tip is from Wilton, the Wilton tip. And depending on how much frosting I squeeze out, it gives me a different shape. So if I squeeze it for a longer time, it gives me one type of a flower. If I do short strokes, it gives me a different flower. I made a lot of cupcakes that day, so I'm not going to bore you with every single design. But before I end up this video, I want to show you one more design that I have made. So in this case, I'm using three colors. I'm spreading one color, then the second one in the center, and then also I'm putting a little bit of white in the middle. This one is for the Wilton tip, for the hydrangea flower. I hope you fell in love with the Russian piping technique, and I hope my video had helped you build your confidence. And from now on, you can make your own cupcakes and decorate them with the Russian piping technique. Thanks for watching.